They had all flown together out into the desert in silence. It wasn't that worrying as Krillin had already given Yamcha Shinzubin and they all moved to the new arena. Goku had a somewhat serious expression on his face as he flew, much like the one he had back on Namek. Frieza thought as he looked over him flying next to him. Frieza couldn't believe how long that seemed now that he thought about it. He had been too distracted with everything to notice much how his life had changed. He was fighting with the Saiyans for Kami's sake. Goku must have sensed him looking as the Saiyan turned around to face him. Almost immediately the serious look that was on his face melted into that goofy grin that Frieza had gotten to know well over the past few years. He gave a small smirk of his own before looking ahead. He knew Goku was taking this seriously, and to an extent so was he, as none of them knew how powerful these androids were since they couldn't sense their power. Frieza had also noticed that Goku's did flicker once in a while a few days ago. He had begrudgingly voiced his words with Vegeta's mate, who seemed like the smartest being on this backwater rock. Bulma had told him that it was good that he got Goku to take the medicine earlier and that this was just his body fighting off the virus and it shouldn't bother him too much. That had been oddly comforting to Frieza as the thought of losing what he had currently built on this planet to some machines simply enraged them. Everyone was serious, except Goku, who strayed a bit closer to the androids looking at them closely. "So what's an android?" he asked seemingly randomly, and the question almost made everyone drop from the sky, but they somehow maintained their composure. "Are you like a fancy robot or something? Because I've faced those before, but you look different," he continued on, seemingly unbothered by everyone's shocked stares, except Frieza and Gohan, who knew this was just Goku being himself. "How dare you, filthy primate! I am no simple machine. I am the next evolution of humanity." Frieza got the gist of what this android or Dr. Gero, as he said back in the city, was saying, but he could guess Goku wouldn't understand unless he dumbs it down. Somehow this Saiyan is the person that won him over, he thought with a sigh, then a smile. "So you used to be human but were just too weak," Vegeta said, having seemingly been listening to the conversation between the two. Dr. Gero growled at him, "Don't worry. I will show you how weak I am," he finished as he continued to glare at the Saiyan prince. "We're here," Goku said as he came to a stop, only taking a moment to close his eyes and scan around, making sure that there were no people nearby. All the parties descended to the ground in silence. They both knew that one of them would not be walking away from this battle. "So how shall we do this little battle of yours?" Dr. Gero asked, walking to stand face to face with Goku, who didn't look too bothered but serious nonetheless. "If what you're saying is true, that you're so powerfully, then I want to see what you got face to face," Goku said with a smile on his face. He always welcomed a challenge. He hadn't felt one since fighting Frieza back on Namek. "But you go first," Dr. Gero said with a sinister smile on his face and staring back at the other android. Against him, Android 19. Goku was surprised though. Didn't this guy want to take him on first? If all that he said back there was true, then he would want to fight him first. Well, he didn't care. He was ready to fight, and Vegeta was watching this closely because he had a surprise for Goku later on and couldn't wait to get his chance. "Well, hurry it up, Kakarot, while we're still young," Vegeta said, already annoyed that he wasn't starting first. Goku and Android 19 stood opposite each other and with a gust of wind, disappeared into their melee. Frieza and Vegeta could see that Goku was holding back, most likely training to gauge how strong his opponent was and saving strength. Dr. Gero was surprised but didn't let it show on his face. Sure, Android 19 was not his strongest model, but that didn't mean it was a pushover either. A loud boom sounded as Android 19 was sent flying into a nearby cliffside. Goku knew he could win this easily, but was it really that easy? He hadn't been able to sleep properly the past few weeks as the days when androids would come got closer. He had looked over his family most nights, both new and old, and carried around Frieza. During the day Gohan wouldn't let him go if he was home from training. Frieza also still appeared cold on the surface near others, but that had faded with time, and sometimes that affection he had for Goku he would show at any time. So he had been worried about beings from a future where he died and wasn't there to protect his family, and now he had to do time. So to say that he was taking this more seriously than normal would be an understatement. Android 19 threw the boulders off himself, huffing and growling and staring at Goku. Dr. Gero was shocked. He thought he had managed to close the gap, but it seemed Goku had only grown stronger. He knew he might have to bring in those other two. That thought alone made him uneasy, but Project Cell was incomplete and Android 16 was. He brushed away the thought. It seems this game is already lost. I need to find a way to make my escape, he thought, but his face was the mask of calm. Enough playing around, Kakarot Vegeta shouted from the side. If you're going to play around, then I believe I should step in. Goku didn't seem to be too bothered about it, as he knew that Vegeta would be more likely to end this fight. He was still curious about the other one through. Maybe he was strong. Well, he would see. Sure, Vegeta. With an instant transmission, Goku teleported next to Frieza, who was watching Gohan play with Frieza, not even remotely interested in the fight. After seeing Goku not really struggling, Frieza was giggling happily as Gohan played with him. Bulma had been distracted by the fighting, but after seeing everyone take a deeper calm breath, relaxed as she joined Gohan and Frieza. Trunks seemed a bit hesitant looking at the other child, but as Gohan tickled Frieza a little more and the child let out a giggle, Trunks seemed to ease, and soon the two were playing with each other. Vegeta, who had stepped into the fight with Android 19, was fighting calmly till he saw his son playing with that devil's spawn. He was distracted long enough that Android 19 got in closer and wrapped his arms around the Saiyan Prince, absorbing some energy. Goku, should we do something? Krillin asked, and Goku didn't seem too bothered. No, I have a feeling Vegeta has been holding back on us. Vegeta just kept his eyes on Trunks and Frieza, playful, reaching for each other. Then his eyes landed on the smirk on Frieza's face that was aimed right at him. Vegeta let out a resounding roar as his aura flared up from the decline it was on. It flicked white, then a familiar golden aura emerged as Android 19 was blown away from him. Android 19 was chuckling his hands in pain as he had suddenly absorbed too much energy at the time, far more than anticipated. I need some stress relief, he said through gritted teeth as he charged at Android 19 and proceeded to start beating him into a pulp. Vegeta was pummeling with all his anger that he wasn't even wasting time showing off his new form to Goku as he had planned to do before. He was beating Android 19 as much as he could, but enough that he wouldn't outright destroy him. For now. Dr. Gero saw this and knew that he had to leave now or never. Luckily he had a plan for this, so with a few indistinct clicks behind his back he set in motion his plan. Vegeta beat on Android 19 for a while, with the being trying to absorb some energy from him till the Saiyan Prince got annoyed and ripped both arms off. Enough of this, Vegeta shouted as he readied a blast. He fired and waited for an explosion, but it was much bigger than he thought and he had to jump back to avoid getting caught in it. There was another blinding light that wasn't an explosion, and when it all cleared, Android 19 was destroyed with pieces of him laying on the ground. But as Vegeta smirked, but that smirk was soon gone as Krillin asked a question, guys, where's